soo leen nekkee si jàmm rek ñun itam ñu ngi si jàmm mbokk yi seetaan lii di Teledal TV ñu ngi am bégte di leen nuyu dalalaat leen li nga xamante ne nekk mooy suñu sunrise programme coming to you live si suñu studio bi nga xam ne mu ngi ci Brussels bi phase 1 baɗigol kabiri nga ala tentu ngal be bu ñaato kontong ngal jiya fanang na sunrise Teledal programme o min talato ni aramiso somandalen ka natale nka bankola kuwol jube abawol konon ka kumas nin kaytol le min fondinde anin fanan ka luntangol bu jiya jang anin dolmin yalo no ko ni ka diamu e laynoto kata fo balabo nyoto anin ku kotangol min yalon ko wolle be kering banko nyen kan bari alse bulano sunrise programme o nyen no kan albe min kala dong wolom albita al Facebook page mu Teledal TV Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, ani mim Instagram ti bajala ko nintara ye fota soto warang ye korasir ko ke min ni ya safenya inshallah mba ko funtinde la janne. It's a warm welcome to another sunrise coming to you live from our studios at Brussels B Phase 1. I am Tijan Jan, and as usual I have Michael. Michael, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Jan, and it's a humbling opportunity again to be sharing this platform with a veteran presenter and journalist like you, and there's no better opportunities than this very moment. If it is burunyebe, if it is steamed fish, that serve the people the breakfast this morning.
But for me, the best is to have porridge. Mono.
That's a favorite.
Yes, that's mono. Or you give me tiakere churro.
How do you say that?
Tiakere churro.
Tiakere churro. Yeah. I love the sound of that. Yeah.
And well, that's it. And what we're going to do is to kickstart the program. We'll now go with the newspapers, Mikael.
Once again, a massive salute to you, our viewers and followers across several quarters of the nation, state of the Gambia and outside its shows. And it's a bright opportunity to speak with you on the Voice newspaper here this morning. And key...
Michael, this morning I see you are showing some muscles.
Someone was asking me, do you go to the gym? I said, no. It's the same Yankatan Benachi.
Who are you eyeing out there? I'm showing muscles.
Don't put me on the spot. Somebody somewhere watching a show right now. So okay, let me see what his response is. Nothing under my sleeve. Nothing under my sleeve, please, okay? Wherever you're watching from, nothing under my sleeve. My boss is kidding, please. Don't take it serious. Yes, key in the story here says U.S.-Nigerian election expert assess Gambia's readiness for 2026 poll. Alport staff rally behind CEO Salif amid counter-petition dispute. Double spells at plans to regulate fisheries sector under the UDP government. Information Minister says ECOMIC does not undermine Gambia's sovereignty. Minister Baji challenges KMC residents to scrutinize Bensouda's records. Gano says healthcare system neglects vulnerable Gambians. Magistrate warns Akalu over multiple sale of lands. And I want to go deeper into the key story here that says U.S.-Nigerian election expert assess Gambia's readiness for 2026 presidential elections. President Adama Barrow has received a pre-election assessment delegation led by former United States Ambassador to the United Nations, Linda Thomas Greenfield, as the Gambia's prepare for 2026 presidential elections. The delegation also includes Professor Atahiru Jiga, former chairman of Nigeria's Independent National Election Commission, according to a statement from State House. The meeting focused on the country's electoral process, with President Barrows welcoming the delegation and assuring its members of its support for peaceful, credible, and transparent elections. Thomas Greenfield thanked President Barrow for receiving the delegation and described their discussions on the electoral process as extraordinarily fruitful. The visit formed part of a pre-election assessment mission by the National Democratic Institute, NDI, which is conducting engagements in the Gambia from August 24 to 28 ahead of the December presidential elections. The mission, co-led by Thomas Greenfield and Jiga, is expected to engage electoral stakeholders to assess the political and electoral environment in accordance with the international principles of election observation. As part of the assessment, the delegation is expected to meet representatives of opposition political parties, civil society organizations, and other key stakeholders to gather views on preparations for the polls. The presidential election is scheduled for 5th December 2026, according to the Independent Electoral Commission. The assessment comes as political parties and other stakeholders intensify preparation for the election, with increasing attention on the credibility, transparency, and inclusiveness of the electoral process. The quality of an election depends on not only on voting day, but also on the broader environment leading up to the polls, including voter confidence, practical participation or political participation, institutional independence, freedom of expression and assembly, peaceful campaigning, and the conduct of security institutions. President Barrow's commitment to a peaceful, credible, and transparent peaceful election would therefore require a level playing field for all actors to thrive. The delegation's planned engagement with opposition parties and civil society organizations are also expected to provide a broader assessment of the electoral environment beyond government's perspectives. It ends there. And we go deeper into the Alport staff rallied behind CEO Salif amid counter-petition dispute. Staff of the Alport Gambia have rallied behind Chief Executive Officer CEO Salif Lavend Kakar following petitions submitted by the company's staff association, with employees submitting a counter-petition calling for the allegations against the CEO to be dismissed. The counter-petition was submitted on Tuesday at Alport Gambia's premises in Banjul and has been circulated to relevant authorities. In the petition signed by a number of employees, the staff rejected allegations contained in the staff association's complaint against Salif, arguing that its leadership had resulted in improvements in the company's operations. The employee says some of the changes introduced under the Salif leadership had faced resistance, but argued that disagreements over management decisions should not be personalized or used to pursue individual interest. We'll also have, those are the key stories in the headline here and in the Voice newspaper. And I pass across to Mr. Johnny. You take it off from there, sir.
Well, thank you very much. And then the next paper we have is the Standard newspaper today, Thursday, the 27th of August, 2027, or rather 2026. 2026. And NPP-led alliance warns against attempts to undermine IEC integrity. And Dabo pledges to cut presidential salary, state house spending if elected. And Unite condemns imam's tribal comments against leader. Man charged with obtaining $1 million by false pretense. Candidate speaks at stakeholders elect new GFF president Saturday. Then we'll have something on that later in the program. And now we just look at some of the stories. The ruling National People's Party, NPP-led alliance, yesterday issued a strong warning against what he described as an attempt to preemptively undermine the Independent Electoral Commission and threaten parallel results, saying such action amount to an assault on the Gambia's constitutional order. In a statement issued by the national coordinator, Mai Ahmed Fati, the alliance said the country is at a juncture where the tenure of political contestation must be elevated above the fray of partisan ambition. And the main opposition UDP leader Usainu Dabo has pledged to reduce the cost of running the presidency if elected, saying the office should serve Gambians rather than provide personal financial privileges to its holders. Speaking on the West Coast Coffee Time with Peter Gomez, Tuesday, Dabo said the salary of the President of the Republic is huge and he would slash it to about half alongside other heavy expenses at State House if elected in December. The Gambian president currently earns no less than $500,000. A rise, Dabo said, is unreasonable from the $270,000 of former President Yahya Jammeh. He said the presidency should be viewed as a position of service and therefore the president should not be the highest paid person simply because he occupies the highest office. The UDP leader also promised to review the nearly $1 billion allocated for spending at State House, particularly expenditures linked to the president's household. Well, according to Dabo, household expenses such as laundry and kitchen staff should not be paid by taxpayers. And now we move to the Unite Movement for Change. Yesterday strongly condemned recent tribal remarks attributed to one Imam Daru Sanyang against its leader Talib Ahmed Bensouda. In a statement shared with the Standard, the party described such remarks as dangerous, unfounded, and unbecoming of anyone in a position of religious influence. Statements that invoke tribal ethic, or rather ethical and central, sorry for that mispronunciation because of some clarity with the writing, but it should sound as ethnic, ancestral, or family identity to question as citizens' belonging have no place in the Gambia's national discourse. Well, so far, these are some of the stories on the Standard newspaper, and then we now look at Foroya as well. Dabo defends Yankuba Dabo, endorses Lamin Mane's election remarks. And $1.5 million land dispute puts women's marriage under pressure. Gambia ranks third in Sub-Saharan Africa on budget transparency. Well, these are some of the major stories on the Foroya newspaper today, Thursday, the 27th of August. And Mikhail?
Yes.
We're still seeing the remarks of the UDP that they're going to announce the election before the IEC still lingering. And it has raised a lot of concern in many corners. In our last edition, we also spoke to Dr. Lamin Mane. We all had his point of view, but despite that, there are still a growing concern pertaining to the UDP announcing the results. And I think this is a page now I think we should start moving away from.
Yes, it's something very critical because those who can read must read. Those who can listen must listen. Those who can protect or should protect must protect. Those who must safeguard must safeguard. And if you love this nation state of the Gambia and you're aspiring to lead, you must be the respecter of the national doctrine. The Constitution is written clearly in section 42.2, and I repeat, that the sole responsibility of conducting and managing elections and announcement of its result come from the IEC. There is a reason why that entity is given by national government, and they are paid monthly to be able to manage elections. Allow them to do their job. Why are you running? Are you traveling? Why are you in a haze? And mechanisms have been put into place on a daily basis because the conversations are in the public space that in previous elections, results have been delayed. And we understand in Africa, especially Sub-Saharan Africa, when election results are delayed, there are possibilities of manipulation, so to speak, or potential manipulation. We understand that. But there are always the right channel to, taking their issues. There are courts of law that you should be able to handle your issues. But what we're saying in essence is that the on-the-spot counting provides political parties an opportunity to have, due diligence on the voting process. That's why you send people to represent you to see how the votes are counted, so that those representatives come back to their respective political parties and its authorities, and then report in a written form and a verbal. Look, we were there. We saw how the votes were counted. These are the data that were established from the polling places, and then hold on to those data and allow the IEC to make the ultimate proclamations of results. Then you can now do a comparative analysis of the figures you have in hand with what the IEC has announced. And if there is any element of discrepancy on those figures, you have the right channel. That is why you have the judicial system. Except you want to tell me you don't trust the process. Except you want to tell me you don't trust the judicial system. And that will be another topic for another day. But what remains important is that you cannot be aspiring to be a leader of this country and you want to undermine the process, be at a party level, be at a private individual level. Put sentiment aside. Understand that the IEC has got a job to do. In 2016, when a figure had a discrepancy and the IEC came back and made the correction, you want to learn from that errors and then make things better now as the IEC. So all eyes are on them. I understand the positions of the United Democratic Party. I listened to Dr. Lami Mane when he says that all of the previous elections have been won by this party, but because of poor electioneering process or processes have led to them being secondary in these elections. There are practical justification to proving that. That is the court of law that determines that. But what we're saying in essence, going to 2026 poll, the Gambia remains one of the fewer nations that hasn't experienced pre- and post-election violence like we experience in Nigeria, like we experience in other nations. Look at what happened in Tanzania. So that means you already have an enabling democratic society that is protective of its laws and regulations. You understand? So you've got to remain on a trajectory of peace and stability. And I understand all of the conversations for fear of manipulation, and so to speak, will send a signal to the IEC to ensure that the right thing happens. What do we mean by the right thing? The timely proclamation or announcement of result must be imminent in the forthcoming election. I'm challenging the IEC to ensure that they put the right mechanism in place to ensure that that happens. But let the IEC do their job. That is my stand.
And yes, I agree with you. You see, I witnessed so many elections, right? And I have also witnessed where they've done the counting. And if you look at the way we do our counting, because in 2016 and in 2021, we have seen on the spot counting. And what normally happens is, you see, in all the polling stations, right, you have the party representatives who are there. And then once the polls are declared closed, they will bring now all those drums, because they are just in the form of drums, which we all know. And then we have these sort of sheaves, you know, with holes, and I think you have the 500. It's in numbers. Where they will pour it, and then so the counting is really simple, it's straightforward, and it's very clear. Because once the counting is done, right, the IEC officials on the ground, right, they will first of all show it to all the polling agents who are there to confirm that everything is normal. Do you agree? Are you okay with it? Are you satisfied? Sure. If they said yes, then they will pour that one aside and then bring another, you know, token, and that is how it's being counted. So the final, you know, when they add up everything, before even sending the final figure to the IEC, they will still make sure that all the party representatives, the observers, everybody is satisfied before they send in the results to the IEC. Sure. And what happened is,
QR code and register on My Officers app, and boom, you get 1 gigabyte free instantly. Just scan, download, register, and enjoy. Check your balance, browse bundles, send and receive money instantly, pay bills in seconds, anytime, anywhere.
Well, our sincere apology for that hitch in transmission due to electricity. But we are now back, and Michael, I'll just pick it up. Basically, what I just want to explain is that our electoral process is really very simple and very straightforward. How they manipulate figures, that one I don't know. Okay. But what I know is that from the start, like 7 in the morning, because normally I think that's the time they opened, 7 or 8 o'clock, they will declare the whole process starting up to the end, sometimes 4 o'clock, sometimes 6 o'clock. And the thing is, every stage of the process is being witnessed by political party representatives, by observers, by journalists, So I really believe in the IEC because since Jammeh's days, I've been covering, elections in this country. But I'm not refuting the point that what they are saying is not true, but from my own experience, what I have seen, what I have experienced is we have a simple and straightforward election. But let's see what will happen. Probably the UDP might decide to change their stance. You never know. But I think we should now move past this stage. Anyway, that is that.
Yeah, there's one crucial area that I wanted to actually stress on the involvement of the U.S. and Nigerian election experts, visiting the Gambia to ensure that the process is transparent, the build of the election is transparent. That's my opinion. I strongly believe that individuals who should be tasked with the responsibility of, monitoring and viewing the electoral process of our nation should be people coming from nations that have had excellent elections, procedures. And Professor Atahiru Jegado for Nigeria, who was former IEC chairman. And if you look at a trend of elections in Nigeria and see a pre- and post-election violence and, allegations of foul play in elections, I don't think should be assigned with such a huge responsibility to monitoring the Gambian election process to see how strong it is when Nigeria hasn't had very beautiful electoral process for donkey years.
Exactly.
So I have a reservation on that. Yeah. Not many people are going to agree with me.
For me, I quite agree with you because if you look at it, I think other countries need to learn from Gambia.
Of course.
Right?
Of course.
Because we have our electoral process is just
one of the cleanest.
I'm telling you. So I don't see the need to have the UN sending in delegation ECOWAS. It's just a protocol to observe.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think Gambia as a nation need to be given that credit for conducting elections peacefully, transparent, fair. Everything is just beautiful.
Yeah, the institution called NDI, the National Democratic Institute, responsible for monitoring elections. Yeah, that's a protocol, just like you put it. I do not have problem with the protocol. What I am saying is individuals that should be selected on that team to come to observing the elections, to monitoring the build up to the elections. These must be people who are electorally clean and upright. You cannot be bringing Professor Atahiru Jega from Nigeria, who headed elections in Nigeria when there were massive controversies on those elections, on their results, on the build of ballot boxes being stolen here and there. What's the moral ground to tell Gambian people that your processes are clean and okay once? What's the moral ground you stand on? That's my challenge.
Yeah, of course.
So you should be bringing people who come from nations that have excellent track records of elections. So monitoring election in other people's nation. You can have an indisciplined administrator and then trying to discipline a staff that is not upright. You understand that? If you want to lead with morality, then you should come with clean hands. So I have a reservation on the Professor Atahiru Jega joining the team here to monitoring elections in observing the electoral process of this nation. That's my reservation, the personal opinion. It might not be liked, but that's how I looked at it.
All right, and then now we're going to move on. We are trying to establish some connection with Lamin Jaite, a journalist in the United Kingdom, but unfortunately, he's unreachable as we speak. But we hope that before the end of the program, if once he's online, and we will we'll have a discussion with him. Mikael, I think so far so good. And these are some of the major headlines on the newspapers. So now we move next to the news update by our son.
Dr. Ismail Sise has described remarks by UDP member Lamin Mane suggesting election results could be announced before the IEC as dangerous and reckless. Speaking on the December 5, 2026 presidential election, Dr. Sise said the IEC is the sole constitutionally mandated authority to conduct elections and announce results. It is a very unfortunate statement where a political party says it will announce results before the constitutionally mandated authority. It can burn this country, he said. Dr. Sise expressed surprise that neither the IEC nor the UDP had condemned the remarks, warning that independent result announcement could lead to post-election violence and, in his view, tantamount to treason. He called on Gambians, political parties and the IEC to reject the statement and uphold the constitutional electoral process. On to another story. The Ministry of Lands, Regional Government and Religious Affairs has warned against encroachment and unauthorized construction within the designated area for the proposed Sanya Deep Sea Port. In a public notice, the ministry said individuals and groups are carrying out development and occupation activities in the area without approval from relevant authorities, which could disrupt plans for the project's orderly development. The public is strongly advised to desist from undertaking any form of development, construction, occupation or other activities within the said area without the requirement approval, the ministry said. It is said the Department of Physical Planning and Housing has been tasked to intensify monitoring and take measures to prevent further encroachment. The ministry warned that any unauthorized development could face action on the existing laws and urged residents of Sanyang and surrounding communities to cooperate with authorities to ensure compliance. For Teledal TV News, this is Awasane.
Well, thank you very much. That was our Sane and Mikael. I think there was something that we really jumped because we've seen the main opposition flag bearer, Honorable Usainu Dabo, who pledged to cut presidential salary, state house expenditures to the extent that, he said what they are paying the president, like $500,000, he will reduce it. And the $1 billion that is allocated for, state house functions and expenditures are all things that he will look in. Are we seeing a new Usainu Dabo approach to the December 2026? Because now we are seeing him, talking about issues and then, what he has on the plate if elected in December.
We've had experience in this country and following the politics of the Gambia over the years. I think there's no new man here. He's been very consistent in his choice of words in how he views the Gambia democratic space. And he's been very compassionate and, very considerate of the space of this nation and its people. So it's not strange to me. That's a man that I admire from distance, frankly, the leader of the UDP, very modest. And these are very beautiful steps in the right direction for any leader. Positions like the presidency is a service to the people. I always say this to politicians that the masses are the employer. And you who serve at the helm of affairs, you are an employee of the masses. And it's an opportunity, it's a privilege. You have a nation of almost 3 million people, and you are entrusted with that mantle of authority to serve the people. You're blessed. It's a privilege that not many can have. So if you have that, you should be innovative enough to design strategies that will have a positive trigger-down effect on the down through the masses. And his position there, even though it's still very rhetoric, until he gets there, because politicians tend to be very flowery in their expressions prior to ascending the seat of the presidency. Once they get there, they change in no time. I'm not saying that's the person he is because he's been very consistent with what he says. But we have to wait until he gets there and we see if he materializes what he says. But by the same token, that's a step in the right direction. I'm not surprised because he's been consistent with his words.
Yes, and then here the focus is on the, let me say, the strategies that he's now putting in place, because we've now seen Dabo now taking the center stage, leading, when it comes to, the strategies of the UDP, because now personally, he will go meet some people, he will take the lead. Now, instead of just allowing his lieutenants to be doing all, the talking. Now, personally, he's the one who is doing that.
That
right?
is it. That is it.
Yes, and let me tell you, probably he has been doing it, but we've now seen a different approach. Yes, the vigor. I mean,
Mr. Janin, you can't expect to do the same thing and expect different results.
Exactly.
You can't expect to do the same thing and expect different results. And one of the things from distance, no matter who has observed the United Democratic Party and followed its historicity from 1996, and based on at face value information, I think one of the weaknesses, I don't know if the leadership actually understand that, of the UDP is the fact that they are always very ceremonial in their campaigning. The UDP most times campaign to places they are already strong. And you don't climb higher heights when you stay in your comfort zone. You got to climb on charter course. You got to go to places where you are not recognized. You got to go to places where you are not even valued or known, because those areas are strongholds of other political parties, and that's where you need to be. Those are the people you need to convince. Those are the people who need your manifesto to be sold to. You can't be going to the Gunjur and, being yellowish there and expect the number to change on the polling days, because that's where you're already comfortable. You can't be going to constituencies and localities where you are already strong in previous elections. I'm not saying don't go there. What I am saying is you re-emphasize your approach to environments and communities where you're not comfortable when it comes to the numbers. Those are the people you need. You go to a camp where President Adama Barrow is comfortable, and you sell your manifesto there. You're going to be hated, you're going to be lambasted, but at the end of the day, if you make sales, if you properly work on your methodology of a campaign, in the midst of a crowd that is supporting the President Adama Barrow, you might have one or two people that are going to buy into your idea. But if you're always comfortable in your comfort zone in areas where you've already been comfortable over the years in successive elections, you do not expect the numbers to change on the polling days. And I always told people, don't get it wrong. Elections are not won by crowds doing rallies. Because even doing your rallies, there are opposition members that go to your rally to see how you conduct yourselves, to go to snap and see the errors within your rallies. So if you see 300,000, 400,000 at the Bakawa Independence Stadium or the particular community led by the UDP on the rally, do not equate the crowd doing campaign to valid votes. Elections are not won like that. Elections are won by valid votes on the voting day. And how do you ensure that you win the election projectively? Is to ensure that you go to uncharted course, places that you've not been before, places you're not comfortable. It's just like a Tony Michael Howard leaving his homeland, where no immigration asking for paper. He looks around, he sees his aunties and relatives that will provide him food lunchtime, and he goes to a nation of the Gambia that he knows no one. If you break through in that nation, then you are a man. Because you know no one there. You only have yourself and you have God. So for you to break through in that place, then that's a major stride. But if you're back home in your comfort zone, you don't have any stress. So you can't test your perseverance spirit. You can't test your mental strength and capacity. So if the United Democratic Party is expected to making great strides than all other strides they've made in previous years, they have to be ready and prepared to work on a manifesto, to work on a methodology of a manifesto, and be ready, more ready to go into areas that are strongholds of other political parties, and then to compete for those votes by virtue of our excellent marketing strategy with their manifesto. I think that's one of the greatest weaknesses, and they got to work on that.
And I hope they're listening. And then, like you mentioned, there is one thing I will also agree with you, because in areas, constituencies, or divisions where you are not doing very well, like you said, you need to focus in those areas. You need to go and vigorously do. And for me, I think they should also avoiding moving with a whole lot of crowd.
It's not about a number.
Right?
Yeah.
And then, because like you said, sometimes it's not all about the crowd that you have. Let me just say, for example, today, if the UDP is, we all agree or we perceive that the URR, which is the Basse area, is a stronghold of the NPP. Now, if the United Democratic Party, the UDP, they're supposed to go and do campaign in those areas, I don't expect them to carry as many like 10,000 people to go with them all the way to Basse.
No.
You don't have to do that.
Pick your think tank. People who know how to sell your party. Pick those individuals, get them on a vehicle. Not a massive number like you put it. I agree with you entirely.
Sometimes it's not all about
the numbers. It's about the message. It's about the content of what you're selling.
And you have to go on the ground.
Jehovah Witness approach, one-on-one, door to door, house to house. Speak the language that people understand. Not just use Achagun, Tasma, Gizemba. No, it's not about the music. Sell your product.
No, they have a song. Ale Fonsaji. But anyway, that is that. I know that they have their own strategies. But basically, these are some of the things that you go to certain areas, like I said, you don't need to carry that whole crowd to go with you. You just need to go adopt another strategy where you talk to people, meet them, even if the need there is the need for you to go house to house, community to community, bantabar to bantabar, talk to them, sell your ideas. Yes, of course, speak the language that they understand, reason with them.
That is it.
But
that is it.
You traveling with 10,000 people all over this country, I believe that is why in 2021, the UDP and the rest of the parties were really shocked when the results came out.
Of course.
Because the number of people that you see moving with UDP is the same number of people that they go all over with.
So you get fooled by the numbers.
Yeah, sometimes you get carried away by the numbers.
That's not valid votes. Those are not valid votes.
Those are not valid votes.
No. So I think there should be a change in strategies. It's very important if they expect to have a very different, competition come 5th December. We sit on this platform and try to be as objective as possible, not that we are perfect souls, so to speak, because we are all prone to errors. But the facts have to be placed where they belong, no matter how hated we're going to be at the end of the day. You can't have a party that has remained very competitive in successive elections, always coming number two. Go back on the drawing board, check your strategies. Why is it that we always come in number 2 and not number 1? Find the answers to the why. Once you find the answer to the why, implement, re-strategize. When you attack, and you're not successful, you retreat, and then you constructively critique your master plan and scratch out what are not needed to be there, and then implement the new ideas that have to be there, and then move with think tank and not the numbers of people, not the crowd. Find people who have the requisite marketing skills to actually sell your products to the masses, because they are listening. Gambians are not fools. They're watching. Since 2016 in this country, this nation has woken up ever since. They were to a very huge extent dormant out of fear for their lives, for their family members under the Yahya Jammeh administration. But then they got together overwhelmingly in 2016 and said, enough is enough. Ever since then, you've had an enabling democratic space where every voice is very crucial. And as such, you have to utilize that opportunity by ensuring that you put in the requisite methodology to ensure that you appeal to the masses to warrant their vote come 5th December. Good luck to them. Good luck to all the parties, because that's the beauty of all democracy. But if you don't do it properly, oh boy, the big man will stay again.
And yes, let's look about the big man as well. And I think when it comes to the NPP also, they have a very organized campaign strategy that they've put in place, and they're following every step of that campaign. And like I mentioned on this platform, for the first time, we've seen the way they organize themselves in terms of trying to get their message reach to the masses. It's just unprecedented. Because today, if you look at it, they have what we call the Barrow 2026 daily review. That on a daily basis, we'll be talking about, we'll be reporting about the strides, the development that the NPP government is doing. But not only that, but it also serves as a rapid response mechanism. So anything that comes negative, the daily review will just step in and diffuse all those confusions, misunderstanding. And so you can see that you go to their website, they have their manifesto translated in all the major local languages in this country. And not only that, but now they also have their messages on almost all the radio stations throughout the country on a daily basis in all the local languages.
Of course.
I think that is really unprecedented and is very, very powerful.
Mr. Jana, you can have 11 Ronaldinos. If you do not have the right pattern, you don't have the right team spirit, you'll be defeated. 10 goals a nil. You can have 11 third division players playing against 11 Lionel Messi. If the 11 Lionel Messi do not have the right strategies and the right team spirit and commitment or due diligence, they're going to lose. So just joining you, buttressing your effort, the NPP-led administration, they know their onions. They know what is at stake. The political space is very open. You can see, look at Adama Barrow. All due respect to Mr. President, prior to 2016 elections in this country, like Dr. Mana says, nobody knew President Adama Barrow. Nobody knew him, no disrespect to the president. But what happened? There was a strategy designed by technocrat, the Halifa Saleh, the Fatima Jaro Tambajan, and other strategists sat together and said, look, let's team Yaya Jammeh. The Gambians have been seeing familiar faces all over the place. And each of the familiar faces has their own group of people in their respective corners. If we bring an Oseno Dabo by the time he was in prison, but if he were available, if we bring him now, okay, other parties who might want to support him might look at it from a UDP perspective. If we bring a Halifa Saleh, other people are going to look at it from a Doi perspective. Let's bring a total stranger in the political space of this nation, the Gambia, an unknown individual. And Adama Barrow became the blessed guy. What happened? The Gambian says, in fact, the build-up was like, whatever comes on the table, we're going to get Yaya Jammeh out. So they brought an Adama Barrow, and where is he today? At the nation's highest seat. So what we're saying in essence is that you do not do the same thing and expect a different result. You got to change your strategies. And the NPP is already very proactive, just like you put it. They have the right strategies in place, different methodology to ensure that the message or messages appeal to the masses. And I think the opposition political parties should be watching as well. This is not the time that I would have thought that opposition parties will still be struggling with alliances. I would have thought that before 2026 started in January 1st, there would have been existing strong formidable foes ahead of the December polls if you expect to produce something very serious. But 4 months to the elections, you still have people boycotting the meetings. You're still having auxiliary alliances here. And you don't need 4, 5, 6 alliances to get President Adama Barrow out. Mind you, this is an experienced man who has been on the job almost 10 years. There is no better person who is more experienced at the presidency than President Adama Barrow right now, because he's the only person that has served at the helm of affairs for almost 10 years. Fewer other people have been there on a vice presidential perspective, like the Dr. Ture, like the Tambajang, and so to speak, like His Excellency Oseno Dabo, but who is more experienced. So he's been there, he's still there. So you are attacking, and he wanting to defend. So if you are attacking, then you have to work on your defense. You got to work on your midfield. Those are supposed to pass must pass. Those are supposed to strike must strike. And how do you strike? Strike with the right methodology, right alliances, right coordination, not character assassination, not defamation of character, not tribal distractions, not discrimination of color. Somebody saying another person is a nar, he has to join the military if he wants to win election. Those are strong terms. And we have to talk about it here because we have a responsibility, Mr. Johnny. You can have someone who is leading a religious institution in the form of an imam, so to speak, or a pastor. When you are at such levels, there is a moral spectacle on you. The public have a massive level of expectations from you. You don't say, Gambia is not going to vote for somebody of this color. So if you want to lead, you got to join the military. I think that's a strong statement the government has to call that imam to order. What do you mean by he should join the military? To do what? To stage a coup in the country? Yeah. That's a crack on the democratic process that Gambians fought for in 2016. Yeah. It shouldn't be taken lightly. And we're not seeing this conversation huge in the public space. The condemnation against that statement is minute or small as compared to when Imam Babali spoke. Why are we not talking? Why is it not being emphasized in the public space that that statement should be condemned in the strongest terms?
Of course.
It's important. You can't be making such statement, when you have a build up to an election. That you only the alternative
that
to a
is
man.
Unacceptable.
Unacceptable should be thrown in the dustbin of history. You can't do that. They discriminate against a man of color. When they do that to your brothers in Germany and Asia and Europe, and you say these people that are racist, that's a double standard. Coming from a religious institutional head, that's a slap in the face of the Gambian people. And he has to retract his statement, or he should be called to order by national government to make a public apologies in all the top newspapers and find the family of Talib Ahmed Bensouda and apologize to him. And I was very happy with the head of the United Democratic Party, sunriseteledal. That's what I said. He became very, very consistent. He condemned that. No. Even my own mom was Fuller from Guinea, so to speak. He mentioned that in his interview last night with Ezekiel Fatulaso. So people at the helm of affairs must be ready and prepared to condemn these things. Private individuals in their respective country must condemn such statements when they come, because they are harmful to the democratic exercise of this very beautiful country, the Gambia.
Yeah, I quite agree with you, and I think the Inspector General of Police should, call in the man, that imam, and then caution him and make sure he also apologize. And then these are things that we really and you say it's very sad, because what happened is here. Why? In fact, you raise a very good question. Why are we not talking about it?
Why are we not talking
because
about
when the Fullers talk about when they talk something that is tribal against the Mandinkas, everybody will be talking.
Okay.
All over. We make big noise and everything. When the Mandinkas talk about the Jolas, it's the same thing. We say it is tribal, this is not fit for this country, and everybody will be talking about it. What makes this one an exception?
What makes it an exception? Beautiful rhetorical question. Very important.
Yes, of course. And in fact, it should be the first thing, apart from the IG, even government needs to, the Minister of Interior needs to condemn this thing.
Of course, that's a hate speech.
That's a hate speech.
You can't do that.
Right? And all the political parties, they should also condemn this imam.
Absolutely.
It doesn't matter whether you are UDP, whether you are NPP, whether you are whatever coalition. All the political heads should, in fact, the very day, they should not have gone to bed without condemning what the imam said.
I would say something that might be very controversial. If I'm a Muslim, I'm not going to stand behind him to lead the prayer.
I'm telling you.
I'm not going to stand
because
there.
As a religious leader, you are supposed to unify people.
Of course.
And then not to divide us. What do you mean that Talib should go and join the military?
4 months of election, Mr. Jane. What are you telling
and join for the military for what? To stage a coup d'etat? Because for him, that is the only way
he can be president.
Man,
he has to go and answer to the IGP.
That is not acceptable.
Non-acceptable. He has to go to
But the thing is, most of them is because now it's against Talib Ahmed Bensouda, they are all keeping quiet.
They're quiet. That's a double standard.
That is not fair.
It's not fair. Very unfair.
If we said the same thing against Usainu Dabo, the entire UDP and the Mandinka communities will rise against
That's what we're saying.
Who is more Mandinka than I am?
This man.
But it's very disheartening.
Of course.
That all of them are just keeping quiet.
Of course. Mr. Dabo.
And in fact, most of them are happy based on political reason.
Of course. And you can't be.
You don't support Unite and so what?
It's okay.
But does that warrant Talib Ahmed Bensouda
to be discriminated on based on his color?
Or tribe, or where he belongs, or where. What is important is Talib Ahmed Bensouda is a citizen of this country. And that is what we are interested in.
That's all that matters.
Whether he's Sula, whether he's Mandinka, whether his wife is Fula, his mom is.
It's all inconsequential.
We are not.
Immaterial.
We are not. The thing is, tribal sentiment, tribalism, tribe,
in
whatever
all its forms and manner must be condemned from our
politics. It has no space in our community.
Do you know, Mr. Janet, what makes it very, very tough and critical is the period that this imam says that. 4 months of election. And mind you, this is a young man who feels very strongly. He left the United Democratic Party, formed his own establishment, very convinced in his spirit of leading the affairs of this nation from a presidential perspective. So he believed he can be president. So if
sometimes, look, we Gambians, You travel to America, you travel to UK and everything. Yes, of course, it's good that you have their papers, you are a citizen. And even back home, people are celebrated.
Of course.
Oh, my brother has now
British
the
passport.
green card, the green card and everything. In other people's country, it's okay for Gambians to be citizens there.
Yes.
But in our own country, it's no.
It's no. Double standard.
Even if they have to go through the right channel, it's
way.
no.
No way. Double standard.
Come on, what type of country do we have here?
No, you can't do that.
No, we can't.
You can't do that. That message of join the military, the guy has to go and explain.
And for me, any other president who is coming in 2027, they should criminalize tribalism.
Of course, I'd agree with you entirely.
Hate speech.
Of course. You know.
The moment you utter it, the next minute, you should be put under custody. You should be arrested and put under custody.
Mr. Janan,
tried and then sent to prison.
Tribalism is like planting a poisonous seed for potential disaster.
Tribalism is destroying Gambia, especially when we reach this election time.
You know, if you've not been victimized before, you don't take precautionary measure. If you go to Liberia's history,
hurts, man.
We fought 14 years civil war.
When Sidin Jai make those remarks against the Mandinkas were very angry with him.
Of course.
So the way you feel is the way Ahmed Bensouda also feels.
That is the point.
It's wrong. What is wrong is just absolutely wrong.
Are we even reading? Mr. Janet, go to Liberia. We fought 14 years civil war from 1989 to 2003. The genesis of that war was between the American Liberians and indigenous Liberians. Tribal extraction. Go to Nigeria today, since 1967 till now. The Igbos, the Hausas, and the Yorubas, they can't even see eye to eye. Go to 1994 in Rwanda. What happened there? The genocide, tribal extraction. Go to the Central African Republic today. That nation, citizens cannot even have $1 to survive on a daily basis. Why? Tribal extractions. And you're not learning from those. This is the falling of dried leaves. It's a warning to the new ones that one day they will fall too. If those nations have had bitter experiences because of tribal extraction, leave it. Don't tamper with it. Don't go into that. Don't discriminate. Don't stigmatize. That's what I listen to Mr. Dabo say. Well, every single Gambian in this country has a root from somewhere.
Exactly.
But what matters is that we were born here and raised that we are Gambian. Don't attack the guy's ancestry. It's harmful.
Very harmful.
Condemning in the
strongest
strongest terms.
Our country, it's destroying our society, it's destroying that bond that we enjoy from our ancestors. Just because of what? Politics?
You're saying, you're Seriously? And you are not practicing that. You say it verbally without acting it.
Maybe this is the Gambia that we want our children and grandchildren to inherit. And of course,
it's going to be disastrous and catastrophic too.
Anyway, next we have to move with sports. But first, give us the sports news, and then now we can go with the other news.
Gambian football is 74 years old now. After all these years, our regional football association offices are either housing ill-equipped offices or they don't even have one. Team Restore Confidence believes for a regional football association to be able to cater for the needs of grassroots football and academies, they need an office where people can come and meet them to discuss issues touching and concerning football development. A Team Restore Confidence promise to the Regional Football Association is all the regional football associations will have properly equipped and furnished offices. On top of that, we're giving each region $1 million for operational support. And on top of the $1 million, there'll be an extra $1.5 million for additional projects that they may have. We understand the needs of the regions might be different, and the sizes are also different. That is why we're giving an extra 1.5, which is there for specific projects. So technically, every region is entitled to $2.5 million. On top of this, we will ensure that we build the capacity of all the staff that are serving these clubs. Because we believe these individuals would be unable to serve the needs of the people if their capacities are not built. We'll ensure that there is capacity building at the highest level so that everybody responsible for any football activity or any football program or any football engagement is well aware of what they're doing to ensure all the safeguarding all the needs of the stakeholders are met.
Thank you very much. That's Kamaso, one of the contenders of the GFF office. So we just wish them good luck. Mm-hmm. If you have the sports news, then we can go with that.
The Gambia under-17 team concluded another week of training on Friday at the Gambian Stars Africa Complex in Maninari. Head coach Yaya Mane and his technical team spent the week instilling the team's philosophy and playing style as they intensify their tactical preparations ahead of the CAF Total Energies under-17 Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers tournament. The team will take a deserved weekend break and resume training on Monday. The Scorpions were paired with Senegal, Mauritania, and Sierra Leone in Group A on Thursday. Former Birkama United FC, Rainbow Academy FC, Real de Banjul, and Gambian forward Mamadou Bojang Mejo scored a perfect hat-trick in the 48th, 57th, and 71st minute respectively in his side Lunds BK Trillion 5-2 away win over AFC Malmö in the Swedish Etan Sondra League. The Gambia Football Federation, through its Women's Football Unit, opened a 3-day CAF safeguarding training for women participants at the National Technical Training Center on Monday. The GFF Technical Director, San John Dong, presiding over the ceremony. The training brings together 25 women participants from the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd Division leagues in the Greater Banjul area. Intensive sessions focus on protection, discipline, ethics, and on creating safe environment in football. The CAF safeguarding trainings runs for 3 days from 24th to 26th August and forms part of GFF's ongoing efforts to strengthen safeguarding and welfare structures across women's football in the Gambia. Mohamed Badamosi fine goal scoring form continues as he scored the opener in his side's Riga FC Trillion 3-3 draw away against league leaders footballer clubs RFS. The Gambian study forward has so far registered 24 goals contributions in 24 league appearances, 18 goals and 6 assists, his best ever season tally of his career. The 2025-2026 Gambia Football Federation Women's First Division League champions, Berewuleng FC, officially unveiled their jersey for the WAF CAF Women's Champions League qualifiers. Berewuleng will go head-to-head against Mokwemo Queens of Sierra Leone and AS Balanta of Guinea in Group B on the WAF CAF Women's Champions League qualifiers. Liverpool have reached a broad verbal agreement with Yankuba Minty over personal terms. The Brighton winger has given the green light to the move and is keen on Liverpool's project, although there is plenty of work to be done between the two clubs. The Gambia under-16 basketball team under coach Adama Blaster Barrow and a well-deserved silver medal after reaching the final and failing to host Senegal. The boys claim bronze with a dominant 72-44 win over Mauritania in the third place game. Reaching the podium in both categories at State Lajor is a strong showing and a real boost for Gambian youth basketball.
Well, thank you very much. That's Usman Gay, our sports anchor, and also special thanks to Mohamed Jai. Well, Michael, that's all we have for today, Thursday.
Yeah, I think and hope that people enjoy the breakfast this morning. For where your treasures is, there where your heart will be also. If you have the money in the bank, any day you see fire on that bank, your heart leaps. So keep trusting the process, push harder. May the best thing happen to the Gambia. May the best thing happen to us all.
Zainab Jallo, Ami, Mark, all of you, thank you. From me, Tijan, bye-bye.
Every time you buy credit or data, that's a speed and win waiting on your My Afrisource app. 50 megabytes, 100 megabytes, 5 gigabytes of internet data, Sitanga Tanga. Credit or data purchases, speed and win, right? Afrisource and AfriMoney, where loyalty pays and the fun never fades.